Good evening. The Financial Intelligence Center has amended the money laundering and terrorist financing controls regulation relating to international funds, with international funds transfer over 19,999,000 rand and 99 cents now having to be reported to the FIC. For more insights on this, I'm now joined by Jaunita Steenekamp, who is the Project Director for Legislation, Ethics and Governance with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. Thank you once again for your time this evening, Jaunita.
Thank you.
Let's start here. Can you unpack for us just how significant are these amendments?
Okay. So that amendment that you're referring to is only a small part in the bigger picture of what's currently happening. So there's always been a requirement for people to report, but they've just changed that and saying that in future, if there's a cash transaction of more than that, or I think it's an EFT transaction, you actually have to report it to the FIC. But I think if you look at the wider context, there's a lot of changes that the FIC and National Treasury has actually implemented to try and stave off this grey listing that is coming.
And does it widen the scope of what the FIC must track and monitor?
Yes, so it does. Just maybe in terms of what the FIC has implemented, they've brought in, they've got this definition of an accountable institution, and that also links to this disclosure of the, I think it's the 19,999 rand. They've got accountable institutions, and accountable institutions have certain duties to report. So in the past, it was quite a narrow list. They've actually now made it quite wide to bring in what they call trust and company service providers, bringing in accountants. So if you are an accountant and you're providing certain services, or if you are a credit provider, or you are an estate agent, a lawyer, a cryptocurrency, you deal in cryptocurrency, you now have this obligation to report, and specifically even on these type of transactions. You have to register with the FIC. You actually have to risk rate your clients. So when people are giving me money, they deposit in cash, they want to need to use that for something specific, I have to follow the whole process of know your customer. The whole customer due diligence also has to be done for all our customers going forward, and not just at the moment. It's not applicable to everybody.
And Jaunita, is this an indication that we have improved our systems, especially in light of grey listing threats?
Because I think, and this is now my view, I think we've done a lot. You would have seen that Parliament approved and signed off the General Laws Amendment Act in December. It was only introduced in August last year. 6 months, we had a new law that made various changes. So there's all these changes coming. They're really trying, but maybe too little, too late. Shamila Baloy, the NPA director, said last week that the presentations to the FATF has gone well, but we didn't tick all the boxes to maybe stave off this grey listing. So we are still concerned, and we'll have to wait and see. The FATF plenary is meeting next week. So hopefully after next week, we'll actually know whether we are going to be placed on the grey list or not.
And Jaunita, just, earlier we heard obviously those concerns from the rating agencies. Is this something that would give a positive indication to the country moving or taking the right steps to ensure, financial crimes are curbed in South Africa?
Yes, I do think so. We have shown progress. It's actually now just implementing what we've done. So we've produced the laws, and I think it was never an issue with the fact that we don't have good laws and good legislation, but our implementation is the problem. And I think that's what we're also seeing in the news now, looking at some of the arrests, the asset forfeiture unit, everybody acting, and there's more movement in terms of stopping money laundering and terrorist financing and proliferation financing is the other one.
Jaunita, that's where we will have to leave it this evening. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, that was Jaunita Steenekamp, who is the Project Director for Legislation, Ethics and Government with SECA.